Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the almost near the end of Trailhead DX. Everybody, I know this is the afternoon. Stand up for a second, stretch it out. If you've been here for the session before, stand up. That's right. Come on, let's get a little Trailhead DX cheer. DX? Yeah, all right. Awesome. Thank you. Stretch it out. It feels good. I'll sit back down too. My name is Jillian Medill, and I am an admin evangelist. So why am I here at Trailhead DX? So admins are a special time of developer, but we're actually here with our platform leadership team who are here to answer your questions. So you've been at Trailhead the last day and a half. Hopefully you have lots of questions in your head that you are just anxiously awaiting answers to. We've got all the experts right here. So I'm actually gonna let them all introduce themselves, and we'll start with you, Phil, go ahead.
My name is Phil Calvin. I'm the CTO, and I'm head of engineering for the Lightning platform. I've been at Salesforce for about 6 years, on this journey with this crew for almost all of that.
Doug Chasman, distinguished engineer on Lightning platform. Been with Salesforce almost 13 years, and been on the same journey with Phil and actually pretty much everybody else on this stage for a while.
I'm Ryan Ellis. I'm VP of Product Management. I've been at Salesforce for about 9 years. I'm responsible for the Lightning platform foundational technologies, things like the framework, the components, the tools, all the things that are used by developers, both internally at Salesforce as well as by all of you. I also, when I came to Salesforce, I started as the first product manager of the App Exchange, and I created that ecosystem with my team, and still own that today.
My name is Jesper Jørgensen, and I head up the core product management team at Heroku. I've been with Salesforce for over 8 years, which is longer than Heroku has been part of Salesforce. So I've been doing a few other things over here as well.
My name's Josh Kaplan. I am a product manager responsible for the programmatic portions of our platform. I've been at Salesforce for 7 years now, and programmatic platform including Apex and the tools around building Apex and Visualforce and development experience on the platform.
I'm Desi Sajizadeh. I've been with Salesforce for about 5 years, and I lead the engineering teams on the Lightning Platform Foundation side, which is the framework, components, and services. I'm also Ryan's counterpart on the engineering side. So I'm super excited to be here and to hear where you guys need help and how we can answer your questions.
So the way this is going to work is we have a couple of mics set up. You can see there's one right here and there's one over there. And I'm going to keep an eye out. So when you have a question, come on up to the mic and we will call on you and get you to get your expert answers up here. I will start with a very easy question. Phil, what's so special and different about the Lightning platform?
Okay, this should take a couple hours because I think this crew will all have some answers. I think when you look at Salesforce, you look at the value that Salesforce brings, it's really about delivering an integrated solution. It's about what the partners build, what our ISVs build, and what our customers build. And then at some point, some end user is going to end up using that application. And I think the value that we're trying to bring in Lightning is to make it sure that what we see at the end of the day is an incredibly fast, secure system that the end user can't tell if there's 3 different ISVs involved, plus the code that Salesforce produces, plus the code that their IT department produces. And so it's really about focusing on creating a great customizable user experience. That's a big part of it.
All of that, and then the fact that Monday morning, your stuff works. 3 weeks from now, Monday morning, your stuff works. And 3 years from now, Monday morning, your stuff works. And that's that contract about security. It's also about APIs and versioning. And anyone that's heard me talk about this over the years knows that I'll ramble about APIs and versioning and why that's magical for hours, but instead, I let Ryan talk.
Guess we're going down the line. The other thing that I would add is you saw yesterday during the keynote that continuum slide of from a no-code universe through low-code to full programmatic, professional development types of tools. And really, Salesforce is the only platform out there that is providing capabilities across this entire spectrum. We think it's a really unique and differentiated position for us where we're able to have professional developers who are building components, who are building other pieces of functionality, and then sort of working in tandem with people who really understand the business, maybe more on the admin side of the house, and using those things to create compelling experiences and applications for their users in lightning speed.
Seen from the Heroku side, what is so amazing about the Lightning platform is how productive you are when you work on it. And again, as has already been pointed out, how the work that you put into your Lightning components and Lightning user experiences is preserved over time. It doesn't break. We take care of that for you. And for those of you who've tried to build a complete full stack application in your own code with your own sort of UX layer, making your own decisions about every single library that you're using and then maintaining that over time, I think you probably appreciate the most all the productivity that you get out of the Lightning platform.
Pass. I'm going to turn to you, Des.
Just to add, unified experience across different devices and form factors. It's testable out of the box. It provides the capability for you as a developer or user to be more productive. And in addition to that, tools that can help you measure the experiences that you develop on the platform.
Thank you. Looks like we have a question.
Hi. I'm Tracy Karanzak. I'm from Brightstep Partners. We are an SI partner of both Salesforce.com and Salesforce.org, implementing exclusively for nonprofits on Salesforce. I'm also a super proud Salesforce MVP, and I'm on the leadership committee of an organization called Girlforce that got its start in the Power of Us Hub, which is part of the Salesforce.org experience for nonprofits. I've been in this ecosystem a long time, since 2009. And my first thing that I want to say is thank you. All of the nonprofits that I work with have needs that are met by this platform, and they use various and sundry bits and bobs of your products along the way on this platform that you manage. Lightning for nonprofits is going to be a massive and very large change management shift for them. The Salesforce.org, which was formerly known as Salesforce Foundation, has been working with a product now for almost as long as I've been in the ecosystem, called the Nonprofit Starter Pack, that at this point represents the de facto standards by which nonprofits operate and support their business processes on this platform. My question for you is, what are you doing to ensure that your products that you manage and the Lightning experience are both compatible with the Nonprofit Starter Pack? I actually sit on its advisory board for Salesforce.org. And what are you doing to ensure that nonprofit business processes, albeit a small community, but a very prominent one in this ecosystem, are being met and represented in your products and through the Lightning transition on this platform?
Thank you. All right, who wants to go for that one?
I'll take a crack at it. I think the nonprofit view of Salesforce and how we approach the foundation and the 1-1-1 model is ingrained in everybody at Salesforce. It's what, the first day of new hire orientation, the morning is, here's how do you get your laptop, and the afternoon is here's what you do as part of new hire orientation. You go on a VTO, volunteer time. And I think that part of it is critical to everybody's DNA. I know for me personally, it's what keeps me at Salesforce, the 1-1-1 model that Mark and Parker had created. On the compatibility side, which is more the technical bits and bytes, I think, we at Salesforce, like Doug said, every release works. So when we made Lightning, the number one driving thing was that the existing systems could continue to work. So the metadata is compatible. You can move, you can dip your toes into the new architecture without abandoning your old architectures. We don't force you to re-implement things right away. You can touch parts of the system. The starter kit, the particular package you're talking about, I don't know. I don't know. See if other folks know what the status of migrating that to a pure Lightning environment is, but let's connect offline if nobody else does it, and I'll find out exactly the status of that.
Well, I can say that Salesforce.org is working diligently on Lightning compatibility of its application, but what I'm actually asking about is that application is so old, it's created de facto standards that address issues in the core platform of the Salesforce architecture that are not supportive of B2C needs that nonprofits have. So it's a question of elevating the importance of those B2C transactions in your work and the support of those business processes.
So the interesting thing of how we approach Lightning, the Lightning experience, which sits on top of the Lightning platform, is we didn't just try to take everything that was in Aloha, the Salesforce Classic, and just replicate that in the new architecture. We tried to see what can we learn from what we did in Aloha and make better. And I'll connect up with the Salesforce.org folks and see, because I'm sure they're doing the same mental model where they're saying, what do we need to fix and what do we need to push into the platform backlog, and to make sure that it supports what they need.
Thank you. Anything that can facilitate that dialogue for what will be a titanic shift for many nonprofits is going to be very, very, very necessary.
Yeah, let's follow up. Maybe we'll connect up.
Great.
And I can add one more thing. We had a limit in place in Apex where you could have only 10 different namespaces in a single transaction. I found out through some cases that came in that there are 10 namespaces in the starter pack itself.
Yes.
We thought that was a problem, so we've eliminated that limit. That limit is now gone.
Those are the kind of things we need, and thank you.
Excellent. Looks like we've got another question, number 2.
Okay. Thank you. I'm relatively new to the Salesforce ecosystem. I'm coming from Microsoft ecosystem. I'm a Microsoft solution architect. Last few months, almost a year, I've been into Salesforce. I'm liking so far what I see. It's a twofold question. Question number 1, on the Lightning platform, which system do you see as your competition? And what is your compelling argument for the people like me, I used to be in a year ago, who are standing on the sideline to see whether to jump in or not? What is one big compelling argument that you think I can use to have them jump in? Twofold question.
Ryan,
Great question. Thank you.
All right, I'll try a crack at that one then. Believe it or not, we don't actually talk quite a lot about competition in this particular space. Lightning Platform is really very much focused on Salesforce and our products. We want to make it the very best platform for doing UI development within a Salesforce environment. That being said, people do use other frameworks within that context, for example, things like React and Angular, and they can still do so. With regard to your second question, I would say that the reason that you should be taking a real hard look at this is that we as a group have made the decision to only invest in making functionality for the Lightning experience, Lightning Platform, and beyond. We're not adding new functionality to the Salesforce Classic experience at this point. And so as we add all of this new features, there are every release, more and more good reasons, nuggets for you and your teams to evaluate moving over. So that's probably the biggest driver that we have.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. I know there's got to be some more questions out there. There's a lot of you. You've heard a lot of things in the last day and a half. Oh, here we go. Thank you.
Hi, thanks. So my question is, I see the Lightning experience and it looks awesome, and I would love to get our sales reps' hands on it and everything, but it just seems like such a huge shift from Salesforce Classic. I'm sort of at a loss as to how to actually do that. And I know there are a lot of workshops here and stuff on change management and things, but I'm just curious if there's anything in the works to maybe allow us to switch over one object to Lightning, like just opportunities or just contacts or something, or keep the standard layouts, like the classic layouts within Lightning, so we can just make smaller changes instead of just this huge thing at once.
All right, I'll take a crack at this one again. So we did think a lot about that, and we know that it is a pretty big shift for a lot of people. And so one of the things that we did was we made it very granular in terms of how you could roll this out to your users. And we made it all the way down to the permission set level. And one thing that we have seen as very successful with many of our customers is for you to create a permission set that only has the ability to use Lightning, and then give that to a very small number of your users, ones that you can act as your beta testers, your pilot users, and have a really strong dialogue with them about what's working, what's not working, where you need to make improvements. There's certain metadata that only exists within the Lightning experience that you may need to configure and set up and enrich that experience, and things that they won't have seen in the classic experience already. You'd also see them in Salesforce One Mobile if you're using that. And so this is a good way to sort of take baby steps into it. And then as you find, for example, maybe it works very well for your sales folks, but maybe not as well for, let's say, your service folks, then you can roll it out at a profile level, and you can only give it to a single particular profile. That's how we've been rolling it out ourselves internally at Salesforce. We have one of the biggest implementations of Salesforce around, and we've been seeing a lot of success with that. We don't have an object-specific way of doing that. I guess, I don't know if Phil would want to comment on that particular piece, but we found this to be very successful.
I would say that most of you that are using Salesforce probably know that you really use it as a series of workflows, so objects kind of go together. So I would probably caution against thinking about it from a one object perspective, and instead going in and finding a team in your organization that uses a workflow that covers sort of a minimal, small set of objects, and then go with that first, so you're migrating as little as possible. But it should be a whole experience when you think about migrating a team over.
So another aspect of this I was going to throw in there is that from a developer experience and architecture and development activities, we do have ways to allow you to blend from one to the other, as far as things like Lightning components for Visualforce, which we GA'd last year, is a nice way to get started on Lightning without having to abandon your investment in Visualforce and actually do a blend. We're seeing a lot of that, a lot of uptake in that. So different than maybe the object question and the end user, but there's a dimension of this for developers too, which is, that's where I live.
Thank you. Looks like we've got another question.
Thank you. One of the things that myself and my fellow Salesforce developers and admins have been longing for a long time on the platform is really robust application lifecycle management and version control, particularly of code on the platform. And it seems like that's gotten pushed to the backlog a little bit with the Lightning transition, which I understand, there's only so many hours in the day, but I really think that would help a lot of organizations manage the transition to Lightning. Are you guys considering prioritizing that in the near future to help?
Everybody's looking at Josh.
Yes.
So it's not fair to say that it's on the back burner. Perhaps from what you're hearing for this conference, it's on the back burner, but it's something that we're very actively working on. There's a very large project with lots of interesting things, which you will hear about at some point in the future. Safe Harbor slide appears. But yes, we are actively working on it right now.
I can say that Josh and I are spending a lot of time together these days.
Yeah, and I'm having a hard time I just have to shut up.
It's awesome.
Because it's very, very cool what's going on.
It's going to be awesome.
I had to ask.
Whatever they're talking about is going to be awesome.
And the last thing I'd say also is that from an investment perspective, we doubled the number of people that were working on this in this time frame. So you'll see good things.
Awesome. Great. We've got another question.
I would love the engineer's perspective on this, because depending on if you're on the admin side or the developer side, there's different arguments. And I was in one of the process builder sessions, and they said process builder instead of code. So as far as engineers and the people who actually created it and designed it, from your point of view, what is the best, most efficient, streamlined of workflow versus process builder flow versus code for the actual system?
I think the value is, for us, is that you can have one system that anybody of any of those skill sets can touch. And you don't, and that's where, if I was to think about the DNA of what Lightning is, and Doug's also going to jump in here, is that, because I can see him, is that, you have, in other environments, I can do a bunch of things as an admin only, moving things around, and then if I get to the end of that wall, I fall off a cliff and I rebuild things. And the time it's taken us to build the foundational parts of Lightning is to try and eliminate that particular thing. So it's not about which is better, it's what your skill set and what you're trying to do. And our job is to create a platform that allows that continuum. And I think we have cracked the code on that, frankly, and you're starting to see some of the things at this conference, and certainly you'll see a lot more of them as you go, all the way from somebody that is completely an admin, wants to click around, all the way to somebody who wants to go to full stack and build something on Heroku or another platform. I think we've got a tremendous platform for that.
And we've cracked the code, but we haven't released all of it. So if you're sitting there scratching your head going, wait a minute, I still see these cliffs here and there. Maybe you don't fall 1,000 feet. You might fall 100 feet. The idea is to actually make it a blend and a seamless transition in both directions. I'll give you a concrete example of something that we have it exists, so we haven't released. We piloted it, field renderer extension. So one of the common reasons that you would, in Visualforce, you would typically, with our declarative tools, layouts, you're building your pages, and you could get so far, and then all of a sudden you realize you want to customize the edit experience, for example. You have to actually start from scratch in Visualforce. That's a very jarring jump, where you have to let go of a whole bunch of stuff that's really, really good about our declarative tooling and the layout metadata-driven layout and everything. And in order to just say, I want to put my component there to visualize address as a map instead of as textual fields. With Lightning Platform, we've learned about this from the beginning. We've had a thing called a field renderer extension, which was piloted. We'll be bringing it back at some point, I hope, soon. It's my favorite feature that we haven't delivered yet. And it allows you to surgically say, okay, Salesforce, do all the goodness for me, except I want to put my component there. And by the way, I want it to be an actual first-class citizen in that layout. And I just want to focus on my edit experience. I don't want to worry about transactional. I don't want to worry about save, or any of that stuff. Just put my experience there. We have that thing. We just haven't GA'd it yet. So that is whenever that question comes up, what's your favorite thing that we haven't shipped yet? It's there. We use it extensively internally. All of our components leverage this very rich ecosystem. Sorry.
It's sort of an age-old question, a very common question, right? Like, do you use the visual approach, or do you use a code approach? And there are some absolutes there. If you know Process Builder and you don't know code, you're going to use Process Builder. If you code every day, you're probably going to stick to code and solve your next problem in code and not switch to a Process Builder. Another absolute is what you can't do in one and what you can't do in the other. If you can't only do it in code, you're going to have to do it in code. In addition to that, what I would recommend that you also think about, in the cases where you do have choice, is do you want to be constrained? Constraint can be good, right? It can keep what you're building simple. If it can be done in Process Builder and you want to do it in code instead, you're taking a risk of this code blowing up and growing and start addressing edge cases. Another thing to think about is your audience. Who's going to be reading this? Remember that both processes and lines of code are being read many, many more times than they are being written. So who's going to read it? Who's going to need to understand what's going on here, and keep that in mind when you make the choice?
Great answers. It looks like we've got another question.
Yeah, kind of a follow-up related question. I'm an accidental admin, right? I studied business. I'm not a database person by any perspective. So it's interesting being in this environment and being what I call the admin with developer tendencies, right? That I'm trying to learn and trying to see. And I know that when I say that to some developers, they get that like scared face of like there's lots of things to think about, like that admins may not think about. So I guess how do you, and even with those questions of Process Builder, like you're saying, I get the, clicks versus code, you go to what you know, but as I'm learning, maybe I do write a trigger because I figure it out and I pat myself in the back for like a week and I'm excited, but maybe it's not a good trigger, right? Like maybe because I don't know any better, right? So kind of how does, maybe even recommendations to not be too dangerous and scare developers, but to continue my learning, or how does the platform help me not mess everything up, I guess.
So I'm going to put her on the spot and ask Desi to answer this one, because
we're putting a lot of emphasis on providing best practices and guidelines. So on Trailhead, there is a lot of rich documentation that's coming up and will continue to be updated. So you guys can follow these best practices and how to guidelines, and you understand what the right decision choice is for you.
Great, and I'd like to point out that Christy, our question asker, has actually lightning earrings on. So if you haven't checked those out, you absolutely should. And we have another question.
Hi, I'm from Financial Force and work with the engineering team for professional services automation. That's one of their products. So I have two quick questions, and I'm, first of all, very thanks for Lightning. I really like it, the way, the UI and everything. In Windows 16, we had one of the limitations that on the orgs where we have personal accounts, you cannot use Lightning on their production orgs. However, you can experience it if you're using it on Sandbox, you can enable it. But on production, you cannot. And other one is, that's my personal experience, that after enabling Lightning, there is a lot more clicks on that page. which actually a lot of customers don't like because it increases their work. So those two questions can help me understand.
So the first question was the GA of person accounts in Lightning. And I am going to have to say I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is rolling out right now.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. It's rolling out like this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, our release is going out last weekend and this weekend, and I'm pretty sure the person accounts GA is in there, but I can confirm with that. And the second one of the clicks, is this on the person account page, the details page? Is that?
No, on Lightning as a whole. Like enabling Lightning, once you have Lightning enabled, I find it requires a lot more clicks to work on something, rather than if you're using the classic Salesforce UI.
Interesting.
So let me take a stab. So one of the things that we have been making a lot of improvements around, and this is a forward-looking statement, you'll see more about it at Dreamforce, is around navigation in general. And we're going to be changing that navigation paradigm from this left-hand navigation to one that goes across the top and one that allows you to more quickly navigate between things. So as an example, you could have a tab that says, say, opportunities, and you would click on it, and that would create a drop list that would allow you to do things like go create a new opportunity, go view recently viewed opportunities, go look at recently viewed lists of opportunities, and imagine that for your various custom objects across the top so that you can easily jump between those things. We also plan to introduce things like breadcrumbs on the detail pages, making it easier to jump between them. And then another big thing to think about here as well is patterns of use are oftentimes specific to the various users and how you've customized and are using the system. One thing that we did right now in this release that's rolling out is we've GA'd App Builder around these desktop scenarios. And so you can change the page. If you don't, like, for example, like seeing the related lists as the first thing that comes up on the page and your users are always clicking on the details tab in order to see those details, use the App Builder and change the details tab to be the first one. If you find that they're having to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page because there's a section down there that's valuable to them, use the App Builder and move it to the top. So, I think as you start using that tool more and more, you'll be able to optimize it in really amazing ways to make it a faster and simpler solution for your users.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've got a couple more questions. Let's go back to number one over here.
Hi. I actually had a quick question around some of the tooling that's been built in things like Chrome extensions and things like that. Pretty much all of them break completely and wholeheartedly. So I know I use some of them, specifically like Salesforce Navigator, if you've ever heard of it, will let you kind of easily traverse the setup menu from any record. So being a system admin on multiple orgs, I rely on that kind of stuff every day. So can you guys just comment on how do you feel about people writing their own extensions to it, and maybe comment on, is there any path towards keeping, some kind of URL schema that might not break completely, or, how do you feel about that?
I'll take a crack at that. And then I think we also have an effort in Lightning to more formalize the tools. So we have a very strict view of how we think about APIs, and we version them, and as Doug mentioned, if it works now, it's going to work in the future. But oftentimes people can write tools that are based on things that are available through introspection but are not actually APIs. So like the DOM of Aloha is not an API that we want anyone to use. It's fragile. We could break a tool that relies on the DOM structure. We could break that in an e-release, an emergency release or whatever. So what we are working on in the Lightning is making a versionable, supportable, API supportable URL structure that can not only allow you to have a URL structure that is inside for Lightning related stuff that we provide, but also drills into the components and structures that you guys can build. That is something that we are working on. And the nice thing about not being a product manager is I'm not going to tell you when it's going to be available, because we still have a lot of stuff to figure out to make sure that is going to be something that is truly supportable, which will make those types of tools a lot easier to build. But then I think the inspector, do you guys want to talk about the Lightning inspector a little bit?
Sure. The Lightning Inspector right now was recently GA'd in the Chrome App Store. So that's a tool that you can leverage for debugging and client-side profiling of your components. It has additional capabilities to measure performance of the components that you developed. And we are going to continue to develop and release more tools on the platform that will enable you to create components, lightweight editors. So that's coming up as well.
The tooling you're talking about, though, is more ad hoc, right? It's sort of, so it's not Lightning Inspector is breaking on you. That should not be happening.
Correct.
Okay.
No, yeah, Lightning Inspector is great. I use it all the time. I'm more referring to like Chrome extensions that someone just built.
Okay.
You know, that help you work on Salesforce every day that have nothing at all to do with, you know, Salesforce native. It doesn't have to do. It's like literally a tool that someone built to help you do something. Like Salesforce Navigator, as an example, is something like the Mac Spotlight for Salesforce setup. So like I can just type OBJ custom object name and hit enter, and it will take me to that page immediately so I can add fields to it. That stuff now takes like 75 clicks. I don't know how many, but it's a lot harder to get to now.
75 seems bad. Seems really bad. I'm not an expert, but I think what we should do is maybe, you know, our action is to sort of get an inventory of those types of things and then see where we can invest in them to make them more stable.
Yeah, I think there's probably 10 or 12 blogs out there that are like top 10 Salesforce Chrome extensions. Then there's, I mean, some of them have 2,000 or 3,000 users, you know, by power admins that you could very easily figure out the list of what people are using out there.
We should look into this.
Yeah, we try to do the best job we can of listening to the community. We've done that with App Exchange, and hopefully there's some App Exchange ideas about this out there. And you also heard Parker yesterday talk about how we try to, what I would call platformize all the time. We look for these patterns and we say, wow, here's a place where we now should have a public API where we don't have a public API. So that's a progression, and we love when you come up here and tell us about it, and that means we can put it on the backlogs and get to work.
And the routing URL example is a prime example of that. We know that the current one is used, but it's not supportable, and we're trying to figure out how to make it supportable.
Thank you. Great question. We've got one more over here.
Hi, my name is Ryan. I'm a ISV partner, serve alongside Tracy on the Nonprofit Starter Pack Advisory Board, do a lot of stuff in the MVP world. Like Lightning and like where it's going, my concern is that I serve a bunch of accidental techies. These are non-technical people that live and work at nonprofit organizations. And in seeing what the future looks like for Lightning, my concern is that it feels like it could move into or evolve into a very disjointed universe from a user experience. Like I see so many opportunities for people to design and develop their applications in Salesforce that don't look like Salesforce. You know, I think from a true to the core philosophy that we have as a company, we want our stuff to feel like it's platform related things so that the user has a really easy way of moving between different apps and features within Salesforce itself. So my question is, as an ISV, what recommendations do you guys have in this very early kind of pioneering stages? Like how can we make sure that we're aligning the products that we're building to the future to work with Lightning, but to also have a user experience that's going to be easy and consistent for people into the future as well?
So, go ahead. Go ahead. Yours. So I think you saw a lot of talk today about the Lightning design system over the course of this conference, and I think what we've done with that is the start of making the user experience a system that is very easy for everyone to understand. And right now, the Lightning design system is a great reference CSS and markup structure that you can use in the stuff that you're building, but I'm going to let Ryan talk about what we're building next that will help.
Yeah, so one of the big initiatives that we're working on is delivering to you a complete set of standard components, building blocks that are based upon that design system. So number one, you don't have to build those things themselves, but also as you compose those together to create your components and your experience, it, by its very virtue, looks just like the other experience. The other thing that I would encourage, I mean, obviously you'll build a lot with the standard things, but you'll have to build your own as well. We have a feature which is called design tokens. And I would encourage you to build your application using design tokens because it allows you to create an abstraction layer for all of that CSS so that you can more easily navigate it over time. We do the same thing ourselves, and that allows us to more easily shift things. For example, we realized that in the first version that we put out, there was a lot of white space, and people didn't like so much white space, and so we made some shifts and things, and that tightened the white space all over the place. So if you use a pattern like design tokens, shifts like that are a lot easier and can also be consistent between your application and the Salesforce experience.
Excellent question. Thank you. We've got another one over here.
Hi. Yeah, my company just recently made a large investment in your platform, so I'm sort of new to Salesforce, and my question is just for a recommendation. Currently, we're going down the classic path, and still maybe we're using some Lightning, but would you recommend that we fully use your new Lightning experience, or would you say we should slowly dip our toe in as we're ramping up, since this is such an extremely mission-critical app?
So I think, I don't know that there's in fact, I know there is not a yes or no answer to that. I think the way we would approach it is there's certain things that are in Lightning and there's certain things that are in Aloha, the classic, that we haven't yet migrated to the new architecture. And so without knowing the business and the particular things you're doing, I don't know that we could make a recommendation to X or Y. But I think what we should do is connect up and figure out what parts of the Salesforce ecosystem you need right now, and then and map it to the Lightning releases, and then make the right call.
There's 2 tools that we're going to be providing to you that will help a lot in this process. One is that there's some trails on Trailhead that specifically talk about migration and basically things to watch out for on the path. Are you using forecasting extensively? If you use forecasting, it's probably not for you right now. And there's other questions that are like that will help you have markers on the way. Another tool that we're working on is a technical one, which is essentially an org migration readiness feature that will allow you to click a button and it to return a report to you that says, you use X, Y, and Z, you probably shouldn't move to Lightning. Or, hooray, you don't use any of these things, you're ready to go. Or, you're using this feature, you might need to change it like this. Go read this trail on how you can do that. And so that feature is going to be rolling out pretty soon. It's an off-cycle release, so it's somewhere in the middle of the releases. But it's a great feature, and we think it will help. I will caution that it's the first version of it, and so it probably won't tell you everything, but it will give you some good guidelines, and we intend to improve it over time.
Thank you.
It's not a static HTML page that says move to Lightning.
No, it is not.
As long as it appears with some confetti thrown by Mike Gerhold, I think it works, right? All right, we've got probably time for one more question. Here we go, last one.
Hi, I'm David. I'm from Devante, a services partner in New Zealand. So I'm interested in focus and commitment to providing good metadata. So I guess I'm have been noticing that some areas in the metadata are kind of hard to make use of. And historically, I guess Salesforce played a bit of a part in that by sort of targeting more business rather than techies. And I hate this.
It's okay.
Sometimes the configuration sort of leads the metadata. So you've got, you can point and click, but you can't get at what's behind it. So historically, that's been the case. And now there's going to be a whole lot of new stuff coming out around Lightning. And then there's Community Builder. And people are going to configure that and how we're going to successfully deploy that if there's multiple streams of work and what have you. And so I guess that's what I'm really interested in, like that kind of focus on good, readable metadata that you can use.
Since no one's put in their hand. Oh, Josh, perfect.
Josh. You ended with saying readable metadata. That's a very tricky thing to solve. With code, it's very easy because it's basically just like a poem written on the page. I can make that, it's a text file. But if you talk about representing metadata in a readable way, there's no easy common format to use. We've defaulted to XML because a lot of people speak XML. It doesn't mean that it's easy to sort of manipulate just by looking at a text file. We are working on some things to make it consistent so that no matter when you bring it from the org, you'll always get it in the same order so that it looks the same way no matter how you pull it out of the org. That'll make it easier to work moving between orgs. We are also working on making it easier for our internal teams to ensure that their features are exposed in the metadata. There's a lot of things that just little holes in the platform that we've been filling over time while creating new holes. Everything hasn't always been exposed, something you can deploy and move forward. With the thing I alluded to before, with lifecycle management, one of the key things is going to be the ability to represent your org and to move it from place to place so that you can do the development you need to do on it. So we are making a lot of efforts on making metadata more consistent. I can't say I'm going to make it more readable. It's still going to be XML, and that gives everyone a headache, but it is going to be something that you'll be able to at least understand and count on being the same way as it was the last time you looked at it.
That someone could figure out by eyeballing it in a merge situation, for instance, where the conflicts are going to be.
Sure, that's correct. Yes, that is true. There will always be a way to go into the text file and make the change if you know what you're doing and just deploy the change by doing it by hand. I don't necessarily think that's everyone's preferred way of interacting with metadata. With beautiful setup pages that let you do lots of steps in one click, and trying to figure out the metadata that comes out of that isn't always the easiest thing to do. So you'll be able to do both. You'll be able to figure out the text like you can today, and you'll be able to do it from doing it in setup and still be able to deploy those changes around.
Thank you. It is actually, sorry to cut you off, it is actually the end of our time for this session, and the reason we need to end on time is because we have a very exciting end of the day planned. Unfortunately, you do have to leave the room before the next session, so you can totally wait right outside the doors, but thank you all so much for attending. Big round of applause for our experts here on the panel. Enjoy the rest of your day.